welcome back to another episode of Sit with Shy. Today I'm joined with Jaykwarn and we're going to be talking a little bit about dance and acting and basically performing arts as a whole. So before we actually get onto the questions and such, do you want to just briefly introduce yourself, tell the listeners what you do, etc., etc.?
I got you. So, hello everyone. My name is Jaykwarn. I am an actor, a rapper, and a dancer, and an all-round creative, really.
Awesome. So what is it that kind of drew you into doing performing arts? What is it that you love about it?
So, initially, my first interest out of the three was acting. It's something that, I figured out I was very interested in from about the age of 6. I was always very expressive and I don't know, just much of a character when I was a kid. And I
Yeah.
always wanted to find a way to just put myself into a medium where I could just show what I could do. So I moved from England in 2008
Hmm.
to year one in St. Vincent.
Ooh.
Schooled there for about, well, a total of 10 years from 2008 to 18. But during my first year there, I was put into the Nutcracker show
Yeah.
for my year one Christmas play. And I literally just had a small role as one of the toy soldiers to say boom and fall down within the span of about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But just that small inkling there was I want to do this. And as time went on throughout year 3 to year 6, I was getting more and more main roles as I became interested in it. I would
Hmm.
always learn my lines in a week, and everyone would take about 2 months or so. And
Yeah.
I was like, maybe I could do this. But it got sidetracked for a while because when I got to secondary school, there weren't as many opportunities for me to do performing arts
Mm.
in St. Vincent because it's mostly about practical and vocational subjects, a lot of tradespeople or just a lot more simple jobs. So
Yeah.
creative arts don't really thrive over there.
Hmm.
So I put it on hold for a bit. And then when I came back to England in 2018, I decided to do it in college. And the rest is honestly history from there, to be fair.
Cool. Do you mentioned the differences between the attitudes or mindsets towards performing arts both in the UK and then
Mhm.
also Caribbean and St. Vincent? Can you highlight what some of those differences are? How is it very different?
Yeah, for sure. So I'd say a lot of the things in St. Vincent specifically, I wouldn't even just say the Caribbean because everyone's got their own different beliefs and facilities to access.
Yeah.
But in St. Vincent in particular, I think a lot of people aren't entirely sure of what the standard is for certain things or how to approach
Yeah.
certain things, especially the creative world. So when it
Hmm.
comes down to acting and stuff like that, a lot of the people there who I've met that are actors or just performers are naturally talented and they usually use that to their ability. But when it comes to honing that or passing on that knowledge and information to other people, they're not sure how because it's how do you explain something that you just do?
Yeah.
And I'd say for somewhere in England where you meet people that go through formal training or they just have the theory and knowledge behind it. Even if they're not the most skilled or talented people, they know the basics or a way to make you a better actor. And that's
Hmm.
why it was very difficult to progress myself as an actor or even want to pursue it properly in the Caribbean. On top of that, we haven't got filming cameras, we haven't got high technology at best. The news channel that comes on is kind of fuzzy. It's just little things that is
Yeah.
yeah, it's not within our reach necessarily.
Hmm. Do you think then that your acting career has slightly taken off more so since you've moved to the UK then since there's more opportunities?
100%, 100%. I would say that before I moved, the most I had done was probably a few. I've done a few performances for my school. I think I did a dance performance with my school. I've done a few rap performances in my church, but
Hmm.
most of my acting was just plays, just plays for college, plays, sorry, not college, plays for secondary school, plays for my church, primary school, little things, but nothing where I had actually performed properly on a stage for
Yeah.
money or recognition. But
Hmm.
once I came to the UK, I'd actually seen what theatre shows were like during my college years, I got to actually meet people that act and could tell me what it takes to get to a place and not just be a dream anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't fully get my first opportunity until I think about 2019. Yeah, late 2019. I was in a dance video with an Indian music artist and a famous dancer named Ditto from America.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I started realizing like how to build networks and actually get myself out there and just communicate like what I wanted to do. And since then, it's kind of been like a constant like battle to find people that are best suited to your skills and your interests. But it's definitely been a lot more progressive in the 5 years that I've been here compared to the 10 years I was out there, for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
So you mentioned like networking and kind of putting yourself out there. What would you recommend to someone who's like new in the game? They want to go out there and network, but they don't necessarily know how. What should they do you think?
I would say on a like very um, generic response level, which is just usually the fundamentals or the easy way to go about it, is you can find yourself like classes or clubs or spaces like acting classes, acting clubs, or you can even do like an education system. Like if you go into uni and do an acting course or just a quick online course for acting, you're usually going to find people that are like-minded, even if they aren't necessarily actors that are trying to pursue the same type of jobs or, general ideas that you're doing. You may find directors, you may find photographers, and
Mm.
these are like people that can get you into those types of spaces. But on a normal level, from what has like given me the best networking opportunities, I would say, is just be yourself. A lot of the times you'll find that when you just engage in conversation with people in just day-to-day scenarios, a lot of the time you can just find people that do stuff. And it's all just down to who you are as a person and the type of energy you bring. If you radiate that energy and that passion that you have for something, it usually triggers other people to realize that. Like even without saying it, I never go up to people and say, I'm an actor. But sometimes it just comes up in conversation because it's like, you're very expressive. Like, what do you do? Are you creative? And then it kind of triggers from there. So I would
Mm.
say just be yourself and don't be afraid to engage. For
Yeah.
sure. Don't be afraid.
That's some really good advice. And I like what you said about like don't be afraid to engage. I think a lot of times, sometimes people kind of put themselves on the back burner for a variety of different reasons. But honestly, if you want to achieve something, then you have to kind of put yourself out there. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Uh,
thank you.
you're welcome. I wanted to ask as well, what would you say has been your highlight so far in like your performing arts career?
Ooh. Ooh, okay. Well, I would definitely say I have one for each, but my biggest one would be for acting, and it was when I did a year course with the National Youth Film Academy.
Mm-hmm.
Was it last year? It was last year. So I did a course with National Youth Film Academy and produced a drama film called Branching Out, which premiered in an OD in Greenwich, I think on the 18th of October or like 12th last
Yeah.
year.
Mm-hmm.
So where there were like 13 groups all together, and we were all tasked with like just making a film of any genre, any theme. And I think there were like two horror films, a few action, like medieval type vibes. And then we did like a drama about my character called Jake, who is basically an individual that's been through like a lot of traumatic experiences with his father, who
Mm-hmm.
basically used to bully him and his two siblings. And me being the adopted character, I got the worst end of the stick. And yeah, it was kind of like a characterization that we based on a poem I wrote called Falling Leaves, which was originally like about just the Black experience, what I've had growing up and differences between like the Caribbean and living here.
Mm-hmm.
And I read it to my peers just as an idea, like I do poetry, guys, if you want to hear something. And they were like, this is perfect. And we just built like a film around that within the span of, I think, 4 to 5 months.
Yeah.
Started writing it about a month and a half, 2 months before shooting. had a few tweaks and changes. A few people joined, a few people left, and then thankfully we all like got it done. In the end, it was a lot of stress, but we got it done. And then we released the film, premiered at Greenwich Odeon, and now it's just out on my YouTube channel. We
That's so cool. I like how you're just saying it so chilled. Like we made a film, premiered it at Greenwich Odeon. That's so cool. Like what gave you? I know you mentioned that you drew on some of your experiences as like a black male coming from the Caribbean, coming over to
Mhm.
England. But like, do you find it difficult sometimes to be like completely like raw in terms of like expressing your emotions in whatever you're creating, and even in your acting as well?
Ooh. Now that's a question. I like that. That's a question right there, guys. Yo, no, I would say, who, that's a question. I would say when I first came over, for a lot of my college life, I had to just adapt to a lot of new ideas and just accept or be open minded to a lot more things.
Yeah,
In well, I can't even say this. In the Caribbean in general, we are a very one way of living. When
yeah,
when we do what we do, it stays that way. You may have a few changes or a newer generation that does things slightly different, but
mm,
for the most part, our mindsets are the same. So
yeah,
I'd say when I came over, I was very used to like laid back, um, less technological. Everyone kind of has the same type of expression or personalities or general ideas, just with like slight variations. And then I came to the UK and was introduced to just a whole new world.
yeah,
People's identities, people's expressions, people's talents. And I think at first I was subconsciously very like threatened by it, not because
yeah,
I thought it would necessarily like change me or make me a worse person for that matter. I just think
mm,
because I was so used to doing what I was taught to do,
yeah,
it came as like something off guard. It confused me more than anything else. I think it confused me, and that sense of confusion definitely led to a bit of fear, like fear subconsciously. But
hmm,
since leaving college, I'd say down to like the last 2 to 3 years of my life, I've just put myself in spaces with like a lot of different types of people and have conversations to where now I definitely would say I've adopted a lot of their traits in the sense of just being comfortable in expressing myself with natural emotion, with how I feel at the time.
hmm,
If I'm feeling like really nervous or, really angry about something, I'll put it into my art. I won't change my personality to like treat someone wrongly, but I'll express it either through my acting or in a song. And then if I'm feeling, one day really feminine or really masculine, I can like switch between the two, which is like
hmm,
definitely something that I would say you're not really allowed to do in the Caribbean. Like you can, no one's gonna stop you, but it comes off as weird and usually starts a lot of conversation. But
mm.
I'm thankful that I've had the chance to split between the two different realities so that I can now take a blend of experiences from both sides.
That's a really good answer. Do you feel like then, because of your experiences in your hometown, do you think that has kind of given you like more of a tough skin when it's come to like going to auditions and maybe getting some rejections, or like just going through life generally? Do you think that has helped you?
Yeah, yeah, it definitely has. I would say um a lot of well, I would say that for me, when it came to like growing up in general, we had to grow up a lot quicker than I would say most other countries, especially European countries. And I
Mm.
say that with a lot of the people my age now, that being 21 for everyone that doesn't
Yeah.
know. Um, a lot of people my age now, I feel like are now starting to understand who they are as individuals, or they're becoming more comfortable being independent.
Mm.
So for me, when I was about 16, well, 14 to 16, really, there's a transition period for just boys' high schools and girls' high schools when you go from being a new secondary school student to transitioning to leaders that represent the school. So from 14, we transitioned from like short khaki clothing. We had like khaki tops and khaki shorts. So year nine, basically, we get longer black pants, white shirts that are less durable, and we get a tie. And it's just little things like that that kind of change the way that you operate as an individual. You can't be as rowdy now because your clothes could rip. You know,
Yeah.
you're a bit taller than before, so now you can't pretend to be a child. You're a bit more in position. And it's things like that that I feel definitely played a part in how quickly I matured or the way I matured.
Yeah.
In general, we were all still, young people. We still had our fun. We did outrageously dumb things, but for the fun of it. But in general, our mindset was always, we pursue what we want to do. If someone feels another way about it, we stand on it.
Yeah.
So I feel like when I came to the UK, and I think I was about 17 going 18 at that time, or 16 going 17, everyone else in college was now learning to be grown. Their
Yeah.
whole secondary school life was just, it's all fun and games, GCSEs. College comes and it's like, oh no. For me, it was like, yeah, it's college. It's a bit more freedom, but I already felt comfortable in being a little bit older. So
Yeah.
now in life, I would say I'm at a point where I resonate a lot with people who are 2 years to even 5 years older than me, and some people in their 30s. People never seem to understand it because they're like, we're not in the same generation. How do we relate to so many things? But I think it's just
Mm.
because the environment I was in and the people I grew up around, everyone was older, so it definitely affected where I'm at now.
Cool. Um, Another thing I wanted to ask you as well is obviously I've had the pleasure of working with you when we done the production. Can't remember the name of it now. It was a
I was
couple of
gonna
years ago.
mention that, but I was like,
Yeah.
let us see that. I think Silent River.
Silent River,
Silent
that was what
River.
it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really cool to see like your process of getting into the role of the character, and like you really just got really immersed in like whatever you was doing. Can you share with the viewers or the listeners, should I say, what is your process when it comes to like taking on a character? Do you do research? Do you try and make the character your own? Like, what's your own process?
So, first and foremost, my my main objective is always just to understand the character. I just say like, what emotion would I feel in this moment if I went through a situation like this? How would I react? That's
Mm.
just the basics. But a lot of the times, I try to draw on my experiences and try to connect those to a character that I do. I don't want to make the character like myself. I try not to, but I usually would just incorporate, different traits or habits that I have or things that I used to do to try and make this character more human-like than a caricature, as people put it.
Yeah.
So, like for example, when I played Jake in Branch and L, it was based on a poem I wrote. So a lot of the parts of the character that were written were already kind of me because that was just the essence of the character to begin with.
Mm.
But I tried to play him in such a way that despite even if you knew me and the type of individual I am, I'm very expressive and charismatic. I tried to make him like very vulnerable, very withheld. And there's just like a lot of subtleties you can add to a character that distinguish them or differentiate them from someone else. So, for example, if I'm someone who's like really reserved and sad, I would try to keep my body language closed and my facial expressions to a minimum. If I'm someone who's like really angry, you kind of see my chest out and like my body is as high as possible. So I feel like I'm towering over you. Even if
Mm.
someone is physically taller than me, it's always about like figuring out that dynamic you want to have and let the viewers feel or see without being too on the nose with it.
That's really good. I like that you mentioned as well, like space and body language. I think a lot
Mm.
of people don't really consider like proximity on stage when they are acting. So that is a really big thing to take into consideration. And it's good to hear that you're actually bringing it into like your planning stages when you're trying to figure out a character as well. What character have you played so far, which is like the complete opposite to your own personality? And has that been a challenge for you?
Complete opposite.
Mm.
Oh, and I got it. I did. I played Scrooge.
Oh, cool.
I played Scrooge in Christmas Carol, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I played Scrooge in Christmas Carol. I think in my my final year of college,
Mm.
and he's just like a really, really grumpy old person, has no appreciation for life, pretty much violates everyone he comes in contact with. And I really enjoyed that character because I think because of how different he is from me. I'm like in most cases, I would say my strongest emotion when it comes to acting is definitely my anger. For a lot of like my early college years, I always liked to play characters that had a bit of anger to them. I don't know
Yeah.
why. Like just letting out a nice little rage scream or trying to be like overpowering for someone. It's fun to play. But I think with Scrooge, there's so much more depth to him that he isn't just angry. He's
Mm.
disguising his sadness as anger. So it
Yeah.
comes off a bit more endearing when he says something or he tries to attack someone. It doesn't seem very offensive. It's more like heal. So I think I really like enjoyed playing that character, and I tried to
Yeah.
bring different elements, the comedic element, the sad element, the anger,
Hmm.
also just the general antisocial behavior.
Yeah.
And all around, I performed that for about 2 to 3 days straight. Because
Oh wow.
one day we had to do it just as like a run through for like, I think specific years in the school.
Hmm.
Another time we had to do it for a primary school that came to visit us to see the show. And then I think the third performance was when we just did it for the general public, like parents, friends that can come, all of that. So
Yeah.
it was yeah, it was like very different each take. So that was also refreshing. But I would definitely say that is the character who is least like myself, but probably the most enjoyable.
Awesome. What's your preference? Do you prefer acting on stage or do you prefer movie work? And if so, why?
I would say now
Mhm.
I definitely prefer movie work a lot more
Okay.
because I've grown up mostly around theatre, so I'm glad that I've been able to master that ability.
Yeah.
But I think now for me, why I prefer film is the realism, just how
Yeah.
realistic it is. And it really depends on which side you come from, because I've always said that acting is slightly harder and on
Yeah.
film than it is on like real life on stage.
Uh-huh.
And people have always like they never know which way to take it because it depends on what you started. Because on one side, I would say if you're a TV or screen actor, most of the time you're playing these realistic characters, you're basing them off yourself. On stage,
Yeah.
you could be fantasy characters, you could be Shrek. And Shrek is nowhere near. He has relatable moments, don't get it wrong. But he's a
Yeah.
giant ogre, he's very expressive, he's very wide, he's over the top. And for
Yeah.
a realistic actor, that might be hard to do. But
Yeah.
then on the other hand, if you're overly expressive and very open and very loud and commanding, or like a theater show, you
Yeah.
now have to just use your face and the slightest bit of body movement to command the crowd on screen without being too much.
Mm.
So I think for me now, I'm grateful that I've had that experience of being on stage so that I can resort to it. But now that I have the experience to be a bit more minimalistic and just use like micro expressions, I don't know, it's just a lot more. I think it's a lot more of a skill in a sense.
Yeah.
You know, I usually relate it to dance in the sense of when you start dancing, or if you've ever seen someone just dance freely, someone who isn't a dancer but has a basic groove, their arms are very much over the place, you know, just taking nice wide steps. You ain't care about what anyone else thinks. You know, it feel
Yeah.
good. It do feel good. But then when you start to like learn the techniques and how to control your muscle contractions and follow the beat without, losing sense of your rhythm, it's a bit different. And now you can move individual parts of your body in sequence without throwing your whole body at it.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, that's what screen feels like. There's so much you can do. You can be over the top, like for example, a Mr. Bean or The Mask, or you can be really isolated like a Denzel or Daniel Kaluuya and do so much with just the slightest eye change or eye twitch. It's crazy.
Yeah. That's actually true. I've never even thought of it that way. That's a really good way of putting it.
What
Um,
about what about yourself though? Let me ask you a question real quick.
what? Go on then.
With what do you prefer with on screen or on stage?
I've not had the opportunity to do screen yet, so I've only ever had opportunity to do like stage work, and it's actually nice to have that feedback from the audience, like live then and there. And I think you kind of feed on that as well. So like when you play a character, for example, that does something a bit crazy and the audience gasps, in your mind you're like, yes, I've aced it, because you know that's the action that you kind of wanted. um,
The character's
um
like, oh no, but you're like, I did
yeah, exactly.
that.
It's just nice to have that audience feedback, and as well, it kind of puts you to the test because you have lines to remember, and if you're doing a stage, there's no redos, there's no like cut and start again. You just have to kind of push
Facts.
through it. So I kind of enjoy that. Um, but I, at the same time, would be very open to having a screen opportunity. I think that would be awesome. So yeah.
I mean, like, I feel
Uh,
like just from like what I've seen, well, we've acted together once, but I feel like
yeah.
from what I've seen, you kind of already had that realistic side to your stage. And
Mm,
I know for the most part it's because it was a very realistic type scenario. It wasn't really like a fantasy or a dramatic experience. It was, I would say
yeah.
it could have been a film, but we were just on stage. But even
Hmm.
then, I feel like given the opportunity, if someone just directed what they'd want to see, you'd be alright. I'll be real.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Um, I'm hoping that we do get another opportunity again to work together, because that actually was a really cool process, even with the other actors as well. I feel like everyone's energy was really good together. It was a
Yo,
really good cast.
yo, guys, I wish you guys could see it because I don't. To this day, I don't know who has footage. I know I had like one time, remember that recorded it from really far, so
Yeah.
it wasn't really clear. But if you guys could see what happened and the process it went like we went through, it was
Yeah.
amazing. But it's funny knowing the backstories behind it. Trust
Yeah.
me.
It was a lot. It was a lot of hard work, but it paid off. To be honest, in the end, it came together in the
For
end, which
sure,
was
for
good.
sure, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. At the moment, is there a favorite act that you have, and what is it that you like about them? Can you tell us?
Favorite actor?
Hmm.
Oh, um, I'd say what am I enjoying currently? I think I've watched such different genres and film types that it's hard to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
Because for example, right now, in terms of real life stuff on TV shows, I'm currently watching Accused UK, which
Okay.
is like a show from that run between like 2010 to 2012 on BBC, I believe,
Yeah.
which is it starts off in a courtroom and they're basically already in like the middle of the court. You could be guilty of this crime, and then we have to watch the whole episode that leads up to that, and there's always a
Mm.
twist that comes with it. So I think of all time, because he's also in the show, Andy Serkis, brilliant actor.
Yeah. It is.
Um, yeah, Rise of the Planet Apes, him in Accused, him
Hmm.
in Avengers, and Black Panther, like all of that. But currently, I'm not gonna lie, Kiki Palmer and Daniel Kaluuya
Okay.
doing some
Okay.
stuff. I won't even
Yeah.
lie. Between oh boy, now Daniel Kaluuya is working. This man is
Yeah. He
working.
is.
I think
He is.
favorite performance so far. Obviously, his most iconic is I'd say Get Out. Everyone knows that was his breakout role.
Yeah.
But even him in Nope,
Yeah. That was good.
Nope
That was,
was so good. And there's so many people that don't understand the subtleties of that. That's
yeah.
another thing. Director wise, Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele. I'm
Hmm.
loving his work as well right now because I'm also trying to keep track of who makes the film that I like and who's in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jordan Peele was definitely my favorite director slash producer right now, and Daniel
Yeah.
Kaluuya and Kiki is my favorite actors. Like they are gifted. They are just gifted, honestly.
Can I ask what it is that you admire about their work specifically?
With with Kiki in general is hilarious.
Yeah,
So
she's a vibe.
I think yeah, no, she is. I think for her, the reason why I like her so much is a lot of the times she bleeds into her character, but
Yeah.
she can do a lot of things that are non-character related to her
Uh huh.
personality.
Yeah.
So for example, in Nope, well, she's very Kiki Palmer, but with a lot more, traumatic experiences, and she has fights with her brother because the way they were raised. He was always kind of expected to be like his dad, and she was just kind of the cool one, but she felt differently to how he felt. And there's
Yeah.
a lot of things that they connect to based on going through similar circumstances growing up, but now
Yeah.
having different thoughts. He wants to stay on the farm and take care of the horses to honor his dad's memory. She wants to go out, live in the city, and actually like be an actor, a famous person. And it's
Yeah.
those kind of like those conflicting stories and dreams that they have that still somehow makes them connect to one another because they don't want to completely abandon who they are, but they realize that there's a lot of growth that needs to take place.
Yeah.
With Daniel as well, especially, I'd say for him, he it's the subtlety. It's always just the subtlety. He doesn't do too much when he's a character, but
Yeah.
he does enough with variety that you can tell how he feels. In Get Out, it was um, very just cool, nonchalant black guy dating a white family, and then by the end of it, you're like, bro's just been through hell and has managed to escape it and has shown us every emotion. And then
Yeah.
in Nope, he's very cold, very calm and collected, but says a lot with his eyes. You know he's going through something or he's been through a lot, but he doesn't say
Yeah.
that. He just shows it. And I don't know, man. He's got a skill, and
Uh-huh.
he's a very difficult actor to explain. But you just watch him and you're like, I felt that.
Yeah. Do you think that those two actors, like given the chance, if you could be in like the newest blockbuster film, what two actors would you want to star alongside? Would you pick those two, or would you pick someone else?
What two actors would I like to star alongside? Um, I would want to be in a film with Daniel for
Yeah.
sure. I would with Kiki as well, but I wouldn't put her as like I need to. I would just
Yeah.
love the opportunity to be in a film with Kiki.
I hear
But
you.
Daniel and probably hmm, I'm not gonna lie. I
Mm.
love Tom Hiddleston.
Okay. Come through,
Yeah,
Loki. Yeah, go on.
yeah. No, Tom Hiddleston. Even I've watched this guy do impressions. I love actors or just even comedians that do impressions.
Yeah.
And something about Tom Hiddleston just being confident and spontaneous enough to do impressions in front of the people he's doing impressions of. And they even are like, no, this is amazing. I think
Yeah.
he did one of the Godfather speeches in front of De Niro. And
Is
even De
it?
Niro was just like, no, it's pretty good. He was laughing with it, but he was like, no, it's pretty good. You could see it by his face. So it was just like that.
Yeah.
He's very charismatic. He loves the art. He's also
Yeah.
a theater student that's now on screen. Yeah,
Mm,
I would love the opportunity to work that.
cool. So we can definitely tell what your love of acting is from what you've said, but you don't just do acting, you also do dance and other elements of performing arts as well. So let's
Yep.
delve quickly into dance.
Yeah.
Um, how long have you been dancing for, and what type of dance styles do you do?
So I've been dancing. Okay, I want to say I've been able to groove. I've enjoyed the theory or the visuals of dance
Uh-huh.
ever since I was about, I want to say 7. I used to be a huge Michael Jackson fan, like every kid. Every kid has
Yeah.
two things: Spider Man and Michael Jackson. Don't ask why that's the combination. That they listen to Michael Jackson songs and watch Spider Man films. I was that kid. I'm still that kid. But
Yeah.
no, I would say yeah. I used to always like try to learn the moonwalk when I was a kid. To the point that at one point in time, I think when I was about 8, 9, I actually was able to do it, and then I stopped, and I could
Yeah.
never get it back again. Like my granddad would always be like, "No, you can't do the moonwalk anymore like you used to. You used to do this move with it." And I was like, "I'm trying," and then I eventually just gave up on that. But
Yeah.
I properly started dancing, I would say 2016, 2015 in St.
Mm.
Vincent. Didn't really have like any classes or dance styles to like fully learn. I didn't know dance styles like that. I used to
Yeah.
just watch Michael Jackson, Le Twins, um, Fiction, like just yeah. I'm not even gonna say the old generation, but for me, that was my generation of dancers. So I used
Yeah.
to watch them all the way from 2010 to about 2016, trying to like mirror their movements. And I was like, okay, cool, I'm vibing with this. I had like my first performance with some of my school people
Mm.
on stage in year 11. Basically, they were already performing. There's about seven of them. And I remember I was just like, can I dance with you guys? And they were
Yeah.
like, let's see what you can do. Did a few
Mm.
reverses. At this point in time, the naming and all of that was big. Like these ain't even popular moves anymore. That's the wild part.
Yeah.
But the name and
Yeah.
all that was big, so I just showed them a few moves, and they were like, "All right, it's kind of hard." Went out on stage because no one knew I could dance. I didn't even know I could dance. Everyone
Yeah.
got gassed, and I was like, "Okay, this is something I could do if I really tried." So
Mm.
I came to England. I met a few people in Piccadilly Circus because I had seen
Yeah.
a video of Le Twins in Piccadilly Circus. I think the year before, so like 2017, and I
Mm.
wanted to just see who the dancers were. Met them, gave them like a donation, came back like a few more times because I think I had about 3 weeks before college started. Started
Yeah.
hanging with them, got to know them, getting close with like two or three of them. And then eventually I just kind of absorbed the information and then tried just experimenting with my own thing.
Yeah.
So, but now as for styles, I would say naturally my movement is very dance hall contemporary with a sprinkle of Afro.
Mm.
And
Fancy.
then
Yeah.
yeah, and then actual styles that I integrate into my movement. I wouldn't even say I do a specific style, but
Yeah.
styles that I like to integrate is I do a lot of old wave vogue and a tiny bit of house slash shuffling.
Nice.
So yeah, my
Is that something
style
you
is
have to
all
train
about
yourself to do, or just?
um so the styles that came naturally to me was always like dance hall movement and Afro
Mm.
because I feel like dancehall dancehall has a few moves to it, but the essence of it
Mm.
is like very minimalistic, kind of like quick steps with a bit of shoulder flares and like I want to say waistline in between of it.
Yeah. It's true.
That's how
Yeah.
it yeah. It's there are moves if you're gonna teach someone dancehall, but the essence of it is usually those three things.
Mm.
Afro in its purest form, from what I've seen, just if you watch kids in Africa dance into Afro,
Mm.
they're just letting their body loose on African beats.
Mm.
And that's what I love about it. So I before I even knew any styles, before I had any move sets, before I ever saw people besides like Les Williams and Michael Jackson dancing, I naturally gravitated towards Caribbean and African music. So whenever I met people, that was what I would just immediately do because that's all I knew. So um, as I got more into it, I had to learn house footwork and like shuffling just from being around people that do footwork. I just kind of started doing stuff until it worked out. And
Yeah.
then as for voguing, um, I was originally it was originally brought to my attention by Laurent from Les Twins. He used to just put sprinkles of it in his style because I would say he was one of the first non-ballroom male dancers that would do feminine dance moves and somehow make it look cool without
Yeah.
you questioning his identity. And I was like, I low key want to do that.
Yeah.
Eventually, I just put myself. I was like, I'm gonna start doing it. I do it as a joke, like, haha, I'm voguing, and I was like, no, I'm not. I'm never doing that. And eventually, I actually just started like doing more research on the originators of ballroom, from Tyrone Proctor to Willie Ninja to Archie
Mm.
Burnett, how they all started integrating whacking and voguing into one style, or they're a mega style to put it. Even if you come like to in contact with house people and voguers and whackers now,
Yeah.
you can define them. They are distinct styles, but you'll see a lot of movement, especially with people that know both, where they integrate into one another. And you
Yeah.
sometimes ask, are you whacking or voguing? And they'll be like this or that, but they kind of look similar at certain moments. So I was like, I want to learn that. I want to, give myself a unique sense of movement that not everyone is comfortable doing unless, they're a part of that community. And
Yeah.
once I started doing it, I was like, there's no going back. I watched a few videos on YouTube of some of the famous voguers, Copa Mizrahi, um, Miyake Mugler members, all of that. And I was like,
Mm.
I want to just do it. I went to about two classes, one in person with Diva Miyake Mugler, and then another one on Zoom. They were about
Yeah.
6 months apart. But I wouldn't say that I immerse myself in dance as much as I used to the point where
Yeah.
I'm super training hard and trying to be on stage performing like, most dancers would be. But it's
Hmm.
definitely a community now where it's an alternative form of expression, and I love being around dancers, especially
Yeah.
when I don't expect to be. I would just be dancing in a club and someone will start mirroring me or trying to battle me, and I'd be like, I'm down for this. It's just it's a part of the culture now. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I love dance. I love dance a lot.
Lovely. So, like, what's your plans for the next few years, and when it comes to performing arts? Where do you want to be? What do you want to be doing? Tell
Well,
us. Yeah.
I'm hoping to. I shouldn't even say hope. I should be starting university in the next
Mm.
2 weeks.
Yes, love that for you.
Yeah,
Well done.
yeah, yeah. Thank you. So literally, there's like one or two things that still need to be clarified before like everything is fully set and I can say I am a true member. But for the most part, my freshers slash induction week
Yeah.
is from the 25th to the 29th. So
Uh-huh.
is that next week or not? Week after next? Yeah, week after next. And then from there, I should be properly starting. I've already got my schedule. I don't think my
Hmm.
first class is
Yeah.
until the 9th or 10th of October, but the
Okay.
induction week is from the 25th to the 29th. So yeah, we're just gonna see how that goes. Hopefully everything, just falls into place. I'm not
Yeah.
stressing, but just want to do a uni course, kind of give myself that opportunity to see what the industry's like, but also have the credentials and foundation to prove it. I got a degree,
Hmm.
y'all, and then just
Yeah.
see where it takes me from there. Get an agent, apply to more jobs, and then
Yeah.
I feel like at that point I would feel more confident in doing it, and I'd also probably have a lot more footage just from classwork stuff. That would be good for
Mm.
my show. Yeah,
Definitely.
sometimes.
Listen, man, you're gonna get through. You're gonna do real good. All right. You'll
Of
be all
course,
right.
man. Of course, I trying. I trying.
Oh. Oh, but definitely do keep me updated on like how everything goes, and then when you become famous and I see you on the big screen, then I'll be like, yeah, I interviewed him. Okay, yeah,
Of course. I mean, if you really want to flex, you could say I did something with him, but
that is true. That too.
there's no
Yeah.
there's no evidence of that. But you could say it, and like if they ask, I'll agree. But then they're gonna be like, "Can you show us?" I'm trying to show myself. Like I don't know where that is. So, but nah,
Oh,
of
man.
course, of course, of course.
Oh, but I really appreciate you coming on today. Thank you so much for giving up your time to talk a bit about performing arts, a bit about, dance and acting. It's good to hear from people actually inside of industry what things are like, especially as it gives kind of insight to people who might want to go down those career paths as well. So thank you for that.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh my god! But yeah, no, I appreciate it. I was like, oh my god, this OG, I ain't talked to her in a while. This might as well, in it. What better way than to be on the podcast? You feel me?
It is true.
You know,
But we will round out the episode and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Bye. Have a good time.